You ever come across one of those shows that somehow slipped past your radar? Not a lot of people watched it, especially when it comes on a show like Sci-Fi, but hey, let's not judge here because Battlestar Galactica premiered on Sci-Fi and it did quite well. But when it comes down to it, those shows that miss your radar, you hear are good, but you never could quite get into it, let's just say The Magicians is going to be on that list. This is a show I think a lot of people need to watch, but there are a few reservations and some recommendations, all encompassed into one nice little review I'm going to give you that I think could be really worth your time. The Magicians is about a set of characters that get enrolled by a college called Brakebills, and Brakebills is quite literally a Hogwarts of this real present day and age. It sets out to train you to become a magician and you can hone your powers in the real world. So that really comes down to essentially dealing with everyday life problems, being ready for whatever comes your way, but you are honing magic. But this show really focuses on the characters, and that we really follow Quentin Coldwater, his friend Julia Wicker, and the rest kind of fall into place when Quentin gets enrolled into the college. A part of being enrolled into the college, Quentin also has a lot going on with him. He's dealing with a lot of mental issues. He's a followable character, don't get me wrong, but he has some issues before he gets enrolled. So it makes it very interesting to see where he's at by the time he comes in, because he also has a very huge childhood attachment to a fairy tale novel that actually had 4 or 5 books, and he has an absolute fascination with them. Little does he know that that world that he loves so much exists, and that existence actually poses some threat, if not wonderment, to this entire story overall. The magic that is used goes in so many different factions and variations and classifications. Some can hone specific wielding abilities, traveling as in like physical manifestation from one point to another, honing the abilities of magic itself, and sometimes bending light. Now, they're in focus and then sometimes not. Some are really, really key points, and then other times it's like, oh yeah, by the way, that exists. One in particular is actually Alice Quinn's character, who can bend light. She can do this with no problem, but it's not the focus point until it's actually relevant later on in the story. But one particular character, Penny, he can travel from one space to another anywhere he wishes, and that actually takes a lot of key factors and prominent aspects in the story. So with these characters, when we meet them, they don't exactly know each other. They don't like each other. They're going to hit some rifts along the way, if not a lot of drama. So you have to keep in mind, when the story starts, personalities are going to come through and it's not going to click with you yet. When they click with each other, you may be in with it. It may work for you. But more importantly, they don't start getting along and working together till about maybe 4 or 5 episodes in, so it can sound a bit dragging. There are at least 5 or 6 characters that take the limelight. You're not even sure if any one of them matters, especially with Julia Wicker's character. Now I have to cover her. She's a very fascinating character. When it starts out, it's irrelevant almost. You're following her side along with Quentin, which makes a big issue. Quentin gets accepted in Brakebills. Julia does not. And when she doesn't, she finds every waking moment to find everyday life magicians out in the real world that isn't in some college to figure out if this is what she's good at. And you may find that story element just completely irrelevant. But if you wait to the finale, you find yourself actually watching those pieces come together, which I think, like I said earlier, is a very ingenious idea. With all these elements coming together, it only makes sense in the end. What can I tell you about The Magicians without trying to oversell it or underhype it? It is a very interesting show. For 13 episodes with everything that has happened, I found myself more and more invested as time went on. At first, I didn't have much investment. It took me a long time to realize, you know what, maybe this isn't as bad as I think. That's when things started hitting. and becoming interesting and having concepts that I just go, wow, I like that realism. I like that concept that is integrated within the world that we know because it is a blend of reality and fantasy. A lot of this has predestinating elements that become very important to these characters, to what is already set up, and to what these characters decide to fall themselves into. A lot depends on these characters' actions, especially with everything that had already happened even before them. There's a lot of history being told, so if you're not paying attention, you're going to go, okay, who's that character? Who's that character? Even though some of the episodes do come in kindly and say, yeah, we mentioned this earlier, we're going to mention a little bit more now, and then we're going to go straight into the story. You have to kind of be with it, and if you're not with it, this may not be a show for you. But I really enjoyed The Magicians for what it was. I'm going to give The Magicians an A. I really think it's a steady A. It was very close to B plus A. So, have you guys seen The Magicians? What did you think about it? Tell me your praises, tell me your woes. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you like this, please subscribe, and I will get you more videos in the future.